Okay, this video is called Miracle Year for Book Writing. It's August 2024. I wrote 5 books in 1 year. Each one is the best thing ever done in that area. And I just want to show you what I did. I'm going to show you how to do it. You know, this is like to inspire people who want to do something like this. First book I wrote was July 2023, Poor Man's Guide to Fight Cancer. It's the best book ever written about cancer. If you want to learn about cancer, here it is. The molecular biology, the treatments, what's really known, not all the bullshit in the typical books. Oh, just give chemo and cut the patient open. Bullshit, okay? I teach you what could be done. All right, it's right there. Poor Man's Guide to Cancer. Okay, then the second book I wrote was Poor Man's Way to Prevent Dementia. All of the conventional medical books, they're all stupid. I'm telling you, for internal medicine and internal medicine subspecialties, including neurology, including this, they're all stupid. They virtually never cure a patient. Many patients can be cured. Many diseases can be prevented. All these conventional books, internal medicine subspecialties, are just designed to match the ill to the pill, send the bill, keep the patient hooked on drugs. They're for chumps, okay? So I'm letting you know I've rewritten all the textbooks. And so this one was written in December 2023. The Harvard and the Ivy League textbooks of neurology, they're all stupid, okay? Their theories of dementia are all stupid. I've made much longer videos on all this, but I'm letting you know. I say this with 100% complete confidence, okay? All right, then, and here's the next couple of books I wrote. I wrote the Medical Reformation. It's pretty much, you know, showing how, this is rewriting all the internal medicine textbooks, basically, and I included some information about other related things like the dementia and whatnot. It's all in here, and cancer, it's in here too. This is, you know, a big thick book. What are we looking at here? About 760 pages. This is internal medicine book. This is the best medical book ever written to summarize what's known actually about what causes disease, how to prevent disease, how to treat the common diseases. Okay, and then I also see that, you know, the whole Christian world is collapsing, and almost all the art books stink. They're written by college professors who, you know, they start out with a bunch of, you know, like cave paintings, broken statues, a lot of Byzantine stuff, tons of text, not any pictures. This book, I just show the best Christian art, and it's all pictures. There's very little text. I went through thousands and thousands of pictures, just get all the good stuff. And it starts right out with the best stuff. It's organized from ancient Greeks, ancient Romans, Old Testament, New Testament, the life of Christ, Christ as a child, Christ, you know, missionary years, etc., the resurrection, the discipleship, all that stuff. And then through, you know, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, all the best stuff. I don't put any lousy paintings here. These are all masterpieces. And then I also include the best movies, of course, the best art from the 1800s, the best literature, paintings from the best books ever written. So it's really a summary of the best art of Western society, which is really Christian art, okay? Compared to Christianity, all non-Christian cultures stink at art. You know, let's be honest, enough of this multicultural BS, all right? They all stink compared to Christianity. There's nothing, you know, if you think you got something else worth showing, put it in the comments. I'll look. I've never seen anybody put anything in the comments. There might be a building here and there that are magnificent from some other cultures. Fine, okay? But they stink at painting and sculpture and all this other stuff. It's just a fact. And the Christians are the best at literature. So it's very sad to me that Christianity is being you-know-what cited from the world when it's the best creative culture by far, by a factor of 1,000, okay? All this multicultural BS is just a way to you-know-what cite it. All right, and then here's the 5th book I wrote. Let me go to the slides here. This is the one about Dr. Mcdougall. This is the paperback version. It's available in Kindle version, available in audiobook version. And basically, you know, Mcdougall was the best doctor that ever lived. So I want to be the best doctor who ever, you know, the next one. So I had to learn everything from him so that I'll absorb all his knowledge. So I went through all his videos, his newsletters, and tons of his other stuff. Everything I could to learn from him. I read like 6 of his books. So anyways, I wrote 5 books in 1 year, and I'm going to show you how I did it, because I'm working full-time. I wish that I was working part-time or even not at all, other than through this nutrition, you know, telehealth or something. But, you know, I don't have any sponsors. I don't even monetize my channel. It's just a hobby. And I'll show you, like, where does this all come from? Why can I do this, and how come no one else can do this? Well, first of all, I look at my heroes, people like Isaac Newton. In Anno Mirabilis, the miracle year of 1665, when there was a plague in London, England, he just went and lived at the cottage in Woolsthorpe, and he figured out calculus in that 1 year, optics, and some other physics, gravity, just thinking on his own. That's what you really need, is time to really think and to read and to do experiments and to figure stuff out. So there's Miracle Year for Isaac Newton. That was very inspiring to me. I was inspired as well by this book here, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. This is by Robert Piercing. There he is with his son traveling around the United States on a motorcycle. And here's the book. And what I liked about him, he was working full-time, like with computers. And what he would do is he'd go to bed really early, and then he would wake up really early, and he would just crank out as much writing as he could before he went to work. And that's how I wrote Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. One of the best books ever written on philosophy. I'd say it's up there in the top 5. The best one is The Light in the Cave by Arthur Herman. But this is a magnificent book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And so anyways, that inspired me. Go to bed early, wake up early, so that's what I did. Okay, then I like this. I got a quote from this YouTube channel. It's called Inside the Score. It's all about classical music. And they said that resources are the enemy of creativity. What that means is you always want more time. You always want more stuff. You always want, to read one more book, do one more thing before you write the book. But there comes a time when you just have to write the book. And what I also mean by resources are the enemy of creativity, when I was imaging guided surgeon, I was always getting paged. And I constantly had to be answering calls, using a cell phone, answering all these calls. And I really didn't like it. Somebody's on my ass all the time. Can you do this procedure? Can you biopsy this patient tomorrow? Can you tap this fluid collection tomorrow? Et cetera, et cetera. Can you put a tube in this, kidney? It's got hydronephrosis, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, what I'm saying is, once I became a neuroradiologist, when I'm off, I'm off, meaning that if I don't have to work that day, I got the day off. I can just sit around and think. And my family kind of was used to me not driving anybody anywhere because I'm so unreliable, because I'm always on call, so I could never be counted on to give somebody a ride anywhere. So anyways, I sat back and I read and I read and I read, and this happened years ago, of course, now, that all the textbooks are totally wrong and stupid. So I'm like, wow, Mcdougall's talking about it, hardly anybody else is talking about it. And Mcdougall does his thing. He did a fantastic job. He's coming from the mentality of an internal medicine doctor. He's the best in the world at that, okay? My mentality is different. I come from the mentality of a brain doctor, and also I got more of a cultural perspective, more of a biochemistry, molecular biology, pathophysiology perspective. Whereas Mcdougall wants to know what will help the patient to get better. What do they need to do to get better? What works, what doesn't work? A very practical, logical, effective way to think. The other thing is I got out of this because everybody sometimes feels sorry for themselves. They say, well, gee, if only I had more time, if only I had more money, if only I had somebody to help me. And what I basically have to come to the conclusion, I studied all these geniuses, and they're all kind of half screwed. And I'm half screwed too, okay? You're not going to get the time you want. You're not going to get the money you want. You're not going to get the sponsor you want. You're on your own. You do it or you don't. If it is to be, it's up to me. And so, you read about a lot of the great books, great writers, and most of them were half screwed, if not totally screwed. John of Patmos, he's in exile in Patmos when he writes the book of Revelation. Voltaire's in exile in England when he writes his book. Tocqueville's traveling in England, traveling in the USA. They're almost always half screwed. Boethius writes his book when he's in prison. It happens like that over and over again. John Locke, one after another. Dostoevsky's about to be executed. Then he also has to flee his country for other reasons, for his debts and whatnot. And so what I'm trying to say is, this is just normal. Mozart wrote some of his best music when he was, his family was, in destitute poverty. There were riots going on around him. And some of the ways, like, well, how do you create a great achievement even though you're really kind of half screwed in terms of your resources and your opportunities? And I like this quote by Santiago Ramon y Cajal. He was a Spanish guy who won the Nobel Prize for his drawings of neurons. And what he would do is you just listen to what he has to say here. Every great work is the fruit of patience, perseverance, and concentration during the months and years upon one specific subject. He who wants to discover a new truth must be capable of the strictest abstinence and renunciation. The ideal case would be that of a scientist who during this period of mental incubation would pay no heed to any thought that is extraneous to his problem. If he possesses this capacity to remain incessantly absorbed by one subject, he will be able to multiply his strength. And yeah, that's exactly what you're saying there. And that's what I did, during the first year of the recent viral thing. What I did was I published 6 books in 1 year, and I did the same thing that I did now. But then I had a little more time off, and what I did that year was I just decided I'm going to try to not send any emails. I'm going to try not to do any social media. That's when I first got rid of my phone. And what I'm trying to say is, I was able to publish 6 books in 1 year, again, despite working full time. And this year I did 5. They're bigger books, though. They're more difficult books. So anyways, I'm happy about it. I'm proud of it. Okay, it's sort of like, I don't make hardly any money with these books, next to nothing. But I don't have any way to market them. And so I don't have social connections. I don't have time to market or do any of this stuff. But I know I'm right. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm the best doctor in the world. Name one who's better. Mcdougall was the best, but Mcdougall died. Okay, now who else? There's all these famous ones, but if you look closely at them, most of them are selling out the pros. They're lying to you. They're bullshitting you on very important things. They're trying to sell you stuff that's not good for you. I'll tell you the truth. You look back at stuff. I've never once lied to you. Have I ever made a mistake? Yeah, sure. I've made some small mistakes. Everybody does, but nothing big that I'm aware of. And I've told you the truth, and I've explained to you as best I could. Okay, now here's another guy who inspired me a lot. Was Arthur Schopenhauer. He's the smartest of the Germans that ever lived. Him and Goethe. The Art of Literature by Schopenhauer. He says, true excellence can be attained only where the work has been produced for its sake alone. Because some people say, well, how could I write an art book? I'm not an art professor. Yeah, well, all the art professors, they suck. To get hired at a university, you got to be a soy boy, scumbag, liar, phony, wimp. I see these guys talking about art, and then they sit there and talk about modern art as if it's real. It's fake. It's the emperor's new clothes. And anybody who says that real, I completely lose respect for them, okay? They're a liar. They're a phony, okay? And I realize if you think, you have to be a phony to say something, then just don't talk about it, okay? Because it's bullshit. All right, now here he goes on. The truth is that the hobbyist treats his subject as an end, whereas the professional treats it as a means. So what that means is the hobbyist wants to understand diabetes, coronary artery disease, hypertension. So he's trying to understand it versus the university professor, Ivy League or some famous place. They just want to make their money. They know they got to kiss Big Pharma's butt or some other corporation. So they just do what that is, check off another publication on their resume, but it's a piece of crap. It has no significant meaning. Like I said, the average vegan health coach can help far more patients than the chief of internal medicine at any of the Ivy League schools. They're a bunch of phonies who just deal drugs. All the psychiatrists are a bunch of phonies who deal drugs. Okay, don't get me wrong. I know some psychiatrists and I like them. They're smart and they mean well and they do what they can. But psychiatry in general, it just drugs the crap out of a patient with these lobotomy-causing drugs. And in general, with all that pharmacology, does very little to help anybody. Okay. Schopenhauer continues, it is these hobbyists and not the professional hirelings that have always done the greatest work. A great writer writes because he has something to say. He does not write for fame or for money because he knows he will not get any. That sounds like me. He writes for great men and for posterity because too few of his contemporaries will be able to follow his thoughts. The more you tell the truth, the more academics hate you. It's just a fact. If you're a great athlete, everybody likes to win. But when you're a great academic person, you start contradicting the party line, okay? You contradict the party line, the party boots you out, okay? Look at me. I told the truth about low-fat veganism like Mcdougall, myself, etc., Kempner, and, Pritikin, and then all of a sudden, the moderate fat crowd got all pissed off at me, the high-fat phony crowd, and got me fired from Chef AJ. That's what happened, okay? And so that's the kind of stuff that happens. I run into internal medicine doctors. They're like, oh, Pete, I think it's so great. You figured this out. You figured this out. It's wonderful. You're a genius. You're so far ahead of everybody. I'm like, okay, fine. How come you never invite me to talk? They go, well, we can't really do that. We don't really, need that stuff. It's too theoretical. And I'm like, yeah, bullshit. Because, because of the money. All right. He writes for great men and for posterity because he knows too few of his contemporaries will be able to follow his thoughts. Okay. And all this minority stuff's a bunch of BS too. I'm Hispanic. I'm half Puerto Rican. Okay. You know what? No Hispanic organization has ever invited me to teach either about medical stuff or to teach study skills. Oh, they whine and bitch. Oh, our students are such crappy students. They never have me teach them study skills. Why? Because it's all fake. It's more to punish to cause the what side of the Caucasian Christians than it is to help any minorities. They don't care about minorities. That's all fake nonsense. They'll take a minority puppet and put them in some high positions because they can control them. They don't want smart minorities. Nobody's trying to hire Thomas Sowell to run anything. Nobody ever calls me or asks me to do anything related to minority issues. So what I'm trying to say is that's all bullshit. That's all part of the same big money overall strategy for the great what set. Okay, it's all BS. All right. Next thing here, Schopenhauer continues. He is like a man who knows the correct time, but it is of no use to him because everyone else is using a different clock. Okay, yeah, I'm in that situation. I'm so far ahead of these other doctors. They don't even understand it. They've just been trained for, decades that, hey, none of these patients can be cured. The whole thing's kind of a big joke. Let's just go through the motions, collect our paycheck, okay? The whole thing's kind of a big joke, all right? We know it's a big joke. All these patients, middle-aged and older, they're all fat, sick, and stupid. We just run them through the system and, pluck their feathers like we're plucking a chicken. We pick their pockets, milk them every day. And there's really nothing you can do for these poor, stupid people. So, let's just at least, generate our billing codes for the day, make our money, okay? Who's this Rogers guy? He's just kind of a crazy, semi-autistic Asperger person. Continue with Schopenhauer. If you want to earn the gratitude of your own age, you must keep in step with it. But if you do that, you will produce nothing great. Yeah, it's just mediocrity to follow the status quo, especially when you know the status quo doesn't work, treating dietary diseases with pills or in surgeries. Schopenhauer continues, if you have something great in view, you must address yourself to posterity. Only then, to be sure, you will probably remain unknown to your contemporaries. You will be like a man compelled to spend his life on a desert island and there toiling to erect a memorial so that future seafarers shall know he once existed. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's basically, we used to joke about college wrestling. It was the only sport that was pain without reward. So anyways, no one will give a rat's ass, but I've done it. I wrote 5 books in 1 year. They're all the best thing ever done in their genre. And for the few smart people that want to read, you'll find a lot of useful information in my works. And that is my goal, to be the best doctor in the world. That's what I'm trying to do. And anyways, if you're interested, I hope these things will help you. And I also think Christianity should be saved rather than you-know-what sided, because it has done more to help society than anything else in the world. It's the hope. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with atheistic Darwinism. We're all going to be screwed. Slavery is going to come back, etc. So anyways, that's how it's done. That's the miracle you're in writing. Hope that was interesting.